Sport on Global Television. Time for us to look at all the making the rounds in the world of sports. Yes, we will give you lots of football stories, and we'll be putting tennis in between just to balance the act of talking sport this morning. My name is Anthony Momodi, the king of sport, and I've got all the big stories that's going to excite you as I take you through the exciting world of sport. And as usual, we start from the home front, where we give you all the big stories concerning Nigerian athletes and their administrators, making sure you're well informed of all the big stories in the last 48 hours. Welcome to Talk Sports. All right, let's begin from the story that the National Executive Committee of Sports Writers Association of Nigeria on Tuesday paid a courtesy call on the president of the Nigerian Football Federation, Alhaji Ibrahim Musa Gusau, at the NFF Secretariat at Abuja, during which the NFF Supremo underscored the importance of journalists as critical stakeholders in Nigerian football. During the meeting, President Gusau emphasized the importance of open communication and cooperation, noting that unity is crucial for addressing the challenges subsisting in the Nigerian game. In his response, Isaiah Benjamin, president of SWAN, expressed appreciation for the opportunity to engage with the NFF leadership. He reaffirmed SWAN's commitment to ensuring comprehensive media coverage of the NFF's programs and initiative. In conclusion, both the NFF and SWAN have committed to fostering robust partnership that leverages their respective strengths to advance the development of football in Nigeria. This collaboration aims to enhance the sports profile and establish its importance within the national conversation. All right, still talking big stories making the round, and we're still with the Glass House. And this other big story talks about match commissioners, as the Nigerian Football Federation Wednesday held its 2024 Match Commissioners Seminar for the Northern Conference at one of its venues. Chairman of the NFF Match Commissioners Appointment Committee, Alhaji Babagana Kali, disclosed to the NFF.com that the chairman of the Nigerian Football Federation Technical and Development Committee, Alhaji Sharif Rabiu Inuwa, represented the Nigerian Football Federation President, Alhaji Ibrahim Musa Gusau, and declared the program open. Professor A.A. Musa Gaba of the Department of Sports Management, Bayero University Kano, was the resource person for the one-day event. Secretary of the Nigerian Football Federation Match Commissioners Appointment Committee, Danladi Alanana, said that the objective of the seminar was to reacquaint the match commissioners in the Nigerian National League, NNL, the Nigerian Women Football League, NWFL, and the Nationwide League One, with both the rudiments and the fine points of match reporting, and to also emphasize the high importance of credible match reporting, as organizers always rely on their match reports to take decisions in case of crisis or controversies. Last year's Northern Conference seminar took place in the city of Kano, while this year This year's Southern Conference Seminar was staged in Asaba, Delta State. All right, from the NFF, let's go into athletics. Not so good of a story as the Nigerian track and field star Esther Brume was recently involved in a ghastly car accident. This was revealed in a press statement issued by the Kola Daniel Special Advisor on Media and the Director General National Sports Commission. Thankfully, her life was spared and she is now receiving support from the National Sports Commission to aid her recovery and training. Meanwhile, Brume, a renowned long jumper, has been a shining star in Nigerian athletics. She has won numerous medals and accolades, including the African Games and Commonwealth Games, amongst other international competitions. Brume has also represented Nigeria at the Olympic Games and World Championship, where she won medals. Over the years, she has consistently demonstrated her exceptional talent and dedication to the sport. Meanwhile, the National Sports Commission, under the leadership of its chairperson, Shehu Diko, has activated the Adopt an Athlete Training Grant Initiative with Brume as its first recipient. This initiative aims to provide financial support for Nigerian athletes, training and development, ensuring they have the resources needed to compete at the highest levels of global sport. Speaking at an event to mark the partnership with Confetti Assets Limited, Diko commended the company for its general support. The Director General of the NSC, talking about the National Sports Commission, Bukola Olapade, emphasized the Commission's commitment to athlete welfare and development. We're so glad that Esther Brume got some lift from the National Sports Commission. That's what we're talking about, being there for the athletes, not just when they're going for international events or when they have won laurels, but also when they are injured and need that support and moral support from their country. All right, let's move on to the sport of fencing. That's where we are as we give you the story that the Commonwealth Fencing Federation has dispatched a team to monitor the 2024 Men's Junior EP Fencing World Cup, scheduled for 14th to 15th December at the Charterhouse, Lagos. This visit is a prerequisite for hosting right to the bidding nation for the 2026 Commonwealth Fencing Championship. Peter Smith, the chairman of the CFF Technical Committee, will be in Lagos for the two-day tournament to assess Nigeria's readiness to host the championship in 2026. Let's let you know that Adenika Samuel, president of the Nigerian Fencing Federation, emphasized the importance of these visits in elevating and evaluating the country's organizational and facility capabilities. The international fencing community now sees Nigeria as a significant fencing nation in sub-Saharan Africa, especially with the hosting of the first World Cup in this region. The CFF's decision to send its technical committee chairman to assess the readiness for the major 2026 tournament is a testament to Nigeria's progress. Charterhouse Lagos has pledged its support to the Nigerian Fencing Federation for the 2026 Commonwealth Championship. Nigeria definitely doing great things in the sport of fencing. All right, it's time for us to talk female basketball. Yes, women basketball is next on the news. Yes, let's let you know that Nigerian champions Mountain of Fire and Miracles women's basketball team lost to FAP of Cameroon 62-60 by 2 points at the ongoing Women's Basketball League Africa in Dakar, Senegal. The news agency of Nigeria reports that the MFM had lost their first two matches against Al Hilal of Egypt and ASC Ville de Dakar of Senegal, 95-49 and 57-54. MFM needed outright victory with a large margin to qualify for that as the third best losers, but could not hold their ground. The game met its expectations, and the Cameroonians won the first quarter 22-12. The Nigerian team fought back in the second quarter but lost narrowly 17-16, with FAP leading with 11 points at halftime. The game became closer in the third quarter. At the end of the first quarter, it ended 12-2. with the Nigerian team still trailing by 11-point deficit. MFM fought back and won the fourth quarter by 9 points, but failed to claw back the 11-point deficit. FAP waited for the result in Group B and C to know their fate in the qualifying via the third best losers slot. Meanwhile, MFM will only play classification games in the bid to win the 2024 Women's Basketball League. Africa is over after losing all three group matches. The 12 best teams on the continent qualified for the WLBA from 6 preliminary phases. Very sad commentary there, but that's what you get. Either you're in or you're out. They got beaten. I mean, so they're out of the tournament. Talking about the African women basketball. Let's talk about football and go back. We're talking Ayimba fans in the news this morning. Let's give you the big story that the Nigerian Professional Football League MPFL match between Ayimba Football Club and Sunshine Stars FC of Akure has ended in a 0-0 draw at Aba. The game, which was played on Wednesday at the Ayimba Stadium, saw the two teams creating goal-scoring chances that were not converted to goals. This is the third straight match that the People's Elephants have played without winning. They had played a goalless draw with the Oriental rivals Rangers of Enugu, the Flying Antelopes, last week, Tuesday, in Aba, before coming from behind to draw 2-2 with Zamalek FC of Egypt at Uyo in the CAF Confederations Cup game. Despite not losing in their three last games, many supporters of Ayimba are worried about the spate of draws. Some of the fans who were at the Ayimba Stadium in Aba on Wednesday said that the attacking line of the team was unable to convert begging chances. The fans, while maintaining their support for the Elephants, advised the coaching crew and players to return to the playing formula used during the early stage of the season. Meanwhile, a message posted on official Facebook page of Ayimba after the Sunshine game Wednesday evening said another barren draw for the People's Elephant in Aba. So what's happening? Too much draw soup for Ayimba players, and they're refusing to score the goals, but it does happen. All they need to do is make sure that the strikers wear their firing boots so that they can put the ball just inside the net. All right, while Ayimba is finding it difficult to score goals, one man who earns his pay by stopping balls from getting to the net had a successful surgery. Yes, we're talking about Super Eagles goalie Okoye. Yes, that's a big story there. Maduka Okoye undergoes successful wrist surgery. That's the next big story we're taking as we give you all the big stories making the rounds. In case you're just joining us, it's Talk Sport, and we've got the next big story that Super Eagles and Udinese goalkeeper Maduka Okoye has successfully undergone surgery for a torn ligament in his right hand. The Nigerian shortstopper confirmed the procedure's success on Wednesday, expressing gratitude to the medical team and vowing to support his team while focusing on his recovery. Okoye had played through the injury for the past 2 months, demonstrating remarkable resilience despite the discomfort. This season, Okoye has been a key figure for Udinese, making 15 appearances and consistently producing standout performances. On December 7th, the club announced that the 24-year-old would need surgery to repair a torn scapholate ligament in his right wrist. And we're so grateful that he is back for good, and the surgery was successful. Hopefully, he will be making his debut, or he will be coming back to the national team. Talking about the Super Eagles as Nigeria gets set for the AFCON and also qualifiers, and we hope Maduka Okoye will be fully fit at that time to be part of the team. So let's move on. Let's talk World Cup issues now. We've got a 2034 World Cup host. Yes, we're looking at FIFA. Yes, FIFA confirming Saudi Arabia as host. That's the big story there. 2034 World Cup host. FIFA confirms Saudi Arabia as host. That's the big story we're looking at this morning, as the Federation of International Football Association has officially announced announced that Saudi Arabia will host the 2034 FIFA World Cup. This decision has been met with mixed reactions, while some critics argue that it is an attempt to spot wash the country's authoritarian regime and human rights record. Many others feel it is deserving for the oil-rich kingdom to host the biggest football fiesta. Not many supported the hosting of the World Cup in Qatar, but it turned out to be a spectacular tournament in which Nigeria's Super Eagles unfortunately missed out. Over the years, Saudi Arabia has faced criticisms for its human rights violations, restrictions of free speech, and lack of women's rights. Despite these concerns, the country has been actively investing in sports and hosting various international events, including Formula One, boxing, golf, and tennis. The 2034 World Cup will mark the first time the expanded 48 team tournament is held in a single country. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia emerged as the sole bidder for the 2034 World Cup, with FIFA combining the decision on the 2030 and 2034 tournament into a single vote. The country's public investment fund, PIF, has been instrumental in Saudi Arabia's growing influence on global sports. Meanwhile, the PIF has set up a Leaf Golf and purchased a Premier League side Newcastle, further solidifying the country's presence in the sports world in related development. Meanwhile, FIFA also announced that the 2030 World Cup will be co-hosted by Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. The 2030 tournament will feature a unique format with 6 countries across 3 continents hosting the event. The opening 3 matches will take place in Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. All right, that's for the 2030. Now we know it's official that Saudi Arabia is going to be hosting. Let's go for a quick break. When we return from this break, we continue with all the big stories making the rounds in the world of sport. Stay with us. All right, welcome back from the break. It's still Talk Sport, and we still got a lot of big stories making the rounds. Let's move on. We're talking FIFA president. He is the focus this morning as we give you all the big stories making the rounds. And FIFA president is in the news just when you thought Gianni Infantino could not look more preposterous. He was back at the Lactan on Wednesday, embarrassing himself and humiliating his organization. He invited FIFA delegates to clap their hands near their heads to endorse Saudi Arabia's unopposed 2034 World Cup bid so that they would be visible on their screens at the Zoom conference, confirming the host wonderful. He just evading any scrutiny or awkward questions about the absence of a transparent competitive bidding process by staging this acclamation ceremony from behind a screen. One commentator suggested that the 54-year-old might at least have anointed the Saudis by using a clap-on meter in the style of a Hig Green on opportunity knocks, though that would have telegraphed some level of dissent. The clap was brief and indistinct enough to obscure any refusers among the 150 or so blurry delegates sitting in front of their webcams on the screen behind him. In the days of Sepp Blatter, which feel a Helicon now, despite all the allegations of bribes, criminality, and the general notions swamp, these announcements occurred in real places to which actual people were invited. The award of the last World Cup to Qatar, a mistake Blatter reflected before the tournament after a lot of delegates were said to have had their palms greased, was at least dramatic, but there was no suspense about this one because Infantino had concocted things in a way that saw off all possible opposition, a secret deal that knocked Europe, Africa and South America out of contention by giving the 2030 World Cup simultaneously to Spain, Portugal, Morocco, Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. That's a very sad commentary there, but just to let you know that a confederation that holds the World Cup may not host either of the following two, so that just left any country in Asia and Oceania which might be capable of deciding within the unprecedented 25-day bidding deadline Infantino set whether it could organize or fund a 48-team tournament or 104 matches tournament. Saudi Arabia, which is heavily bankrolling the vast tournament, talking about irrelevant club World Cup, which Infantino sees as a personal legacy, just happened to have such a plan at hand. So you can understand why Infantino was desperate to ensure that Saudi Arabia became the host unopposed, because Saudi Arabia is bankrolling the World Club tournament, which Infantino sees as his own personal tournament, and all benefits to Infantino, something which is truly wrong. All right, look, you're still talking World Cup matters. We're talking 2034 World Cup, Saudi Arabia. Okay, the LGBT fans, that's what we're looking at as a England Football Association said it had received assurances from Saudi Arabia that the LGBTQ fans would be safe and welcome at the 2034 World Cup. Explaining its support for the successful bid from the Gulf state, FIFA confirmed on Wednesday that the Middle East nation would host the tournament, underlining the kingdom's growing influence in world sport despite criticism of its human rights record. At the same time, World Football Governing Body confirmed that Morocco, Spain, and Portugal will be the joint hosts of the 2030 World Cup, in which 3 games will also be played in South America. The awarding of the World Cup to Saudi Arabia will make the issue of human rights a major talking point again, just as it was 2 years ago. The tournament was staged in Qatar. Meanwhile, FIFA President Gianni Infantino said in the closing remarks at Wednesday's Congress that the organization was inclusive and non-discriminatory. The English FA explained its support for the 2030 and 2034 bids in a statement shortly after confirmation of the hosting decisions. It said the FA board met Saudi football chiefs last month to discuss the bid in details. Okay, now we know why everything is going the way of Saudi Arabia and Infantino. Let's move on to the UEFA Champions League matches. It's a Man City versus Juventus is on. That's the next big story we're looking at, as Jimmy Carragher has claimed that Pep Guardiola has no answer for Manchester City's massive crisis after they suffered yet another defeat. Guardiola's side faced a battle to stay in the Champions League after their 2-0 loss to Juventus on Wednesday night has left them 22nd in the table. The result against the Italian giant means that City have now picked up just one win from their last 10 matches in all competitions as pressure grows on Guardiola. It is an unprecedented situation for the Spaniard, who recently put pen to paper on a new deal with the Premier League champions. CBS Sports pundit Carragher has since insisted that Guardiola may regret signing that deal and claimed that the City boss currently has no answers to their problems. Meanwhile, the top 24 teams in the competition, that's talking about the Champions League, will go through to the next round, the top 8 skipping the playoffs. And City, who won the competition in the 2022-2023 season, are now just a point above the elimination places. They will face Paris Saint-Germain away from home next, with the French side occupying the first elimination place, which means all could be on the final game, which City will play at home to Club Brugge at the end of January. But Wednesday's defeat means City have now tested that 7 times since their League Cup defeat by Tottenham at the end of October 10 games ago, and there are a few signs that their fortunes will turn around. Very sad commentary for Manchester City and Pep Guardiola. It looks like things not going his way at all. All right, still talking Champions League matters. Let's talk about Arsenal. Arsenal is in the news this morning. Yes, it was Arsenal with a win last night, as Arsenal winger Bukayo Saka has claimed he was denied his first hat-trick for the club by Kai Havertz. Saka scored twice as the Gunners trashed Monaco 3-0 at the Emirates on Wednesday night. The 23-year-old had the chance to grab a third when he sent a shot towards the goal in the 88th minute. The shot might have been saved by the goalkeeper, but it deflected off Kai Havertz and into the net. Arsenal's final 2 UEFA Champions League matches are against Dynamo Zagreb at home and away to Girona. Arsenal took a major step towards qualification for the Champions League knockout round with a vital win over Monaco, but they were gifted this victory by the League One side, who mustered some of the most economical defending you would see this season. 2 weeks before the big day, Arsenal would be forgiven. Arsenal players would be forgiven for thinking Christmas had come early. Much has been made of Arsenal's resilience on set piece in the recent weeks. They didn't need to dip into their dead ball armory here, thanks to no small part played by Monaco's amateur rear guard. So it made it much easier for Arsenal. They didn't have to do too much to get that victory over Monaco. All right, tonight let's take you to Old Trafford, where one man is up for sale. Yes, his name, Marcus Rashford offer. That's what we're looking at, as Manchester United would consider offers of £40 million for Marcus Rashford. But accept there are unlikely to be any bid or bidders for the England forward in the January transfer window. Meanwhile, Main Sport understands that United has to comply with the profit and sustainability rules, raise funds for the new head coach Ruben Amorim to strengthen his squad. Selling homegrown players counts as 100% profit on the PSR balance sheet, and for some time now, the spotlight has fallen on Rashford, who has been at the club since the age of 7. It is understood the 27-year-old asking price would have been as much as £100 million when he scored 30 goals in Erik ten Hag's first season at United. But Rashford's loss of form and the contract he signed last year was a prohibitive £325,000 a week. That means his value has more than halved. All right, even then, United are not anticipating any offers for Rashford, who has started the last 2 games on the bench ahead of Thursday evening's Europa League clash with Victoria Plzeň. Another option would be for United to sell either of their 2 crown jewels, Kobe Manu or Alejandro Garnacho, but that is something the club wants to avoid. Meanwhile, Lenny Yoro, bought for £59 million from Lille in the summer as a star of the future, is another seen as virtually untouchable at Old Trafford. United are keen to keep hold of a number of players who have flourished under Amorim, such as Amad Diallo, Martins de Ligt, Bruno Fernandes, Manzorawi, and Emmanuel Odegaard. Diallo will be a free agent in the summer and can talk to any foreign club from the start of January. But United are hopeful he will sign a new contract. Others are more readily available, but will be difficult to sell even at vastly reduced prices, such as Anthony, now valued at around £23 million, and Casemiro, who earns £375,000 a week, and Mason Mount and Luke Shaw, who have both struggled with long-term injuries. A number of players will be out of contract in the summer, including Christian Eriksen, Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, Johnny Evans, and Tom Heaton. They have little resale value unless, in the case of Maguire, United trigger a 12-month extension. The club are struggling to comply with the PSR rules after posting losses of £300 million over the last 3 years. After spending another £200 million on transfers in the summer, they did not budget on having to pay out an additional £21.4 million to replace Ten Hag with Amorim. All right, let's run in for another quick break. When we return, we'll be taking you to Spain, as we've got some big story now coming from Spain and Barcelona. Is in the news this morning. What about Barcelona? You're going to find out after this quick break. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. It's time for us to take you to Spain. We've got some story concerning the Spanish giant, talking about the Catalan giant Barcelona, who were in perilous form against Borussia Dortmund. It was over 3 years since Dortmund last tasted defeat at home in the Champions League, and perhaps that's enough to show how systemic this Barcelona side is, and the victory was for Nuri Sahin in his first season in charge at the club. This was the first defeat in front of the famous Yellow Wall, and it came in an agonizing fashion as his side chased the game, but were undone by a superb Barcelona counter in the 85th minute, finished wonderfully by Ferran Torres, who came off the bench and scored twice on the night. His second was the fifth goal of an enthralling second half, and ultimately the deciding one as Hansi Flick's side continued their stunning start to the campaign, top of the La Liga and second the Champions League standings with more goals than any other side in the competition. Across the league and Europe, they have scored a quite remarkable 71 goals in 23 games. That's amazing by Barcelona. Flick has cultivated a fearless culture in the youthful side, filled with joy, and who are doubtless early contenders for goal to go all the way, but their inexperience allowed Dortmund to equalize twice on the night through Guirassy after Rafinha gave the visitors the lead with his 17th goal of the season. 17-year-old Paul Kubasi ceaselessly fouled Guirassy in the box, with the Guinean international making no mistake from the spot on the hour mark. All right, we'll be wrapping up the program with a talk on the Australian Open, and hopefully, probably speak with the Swan Secretary General in the person of Ikenna Okonkwo. Meanwhile, let's give you this story concerning tennis as we look at Australian Open. Former Aussie star turned commentator in the person of Jelena Dokic isn't on the same page with Nick Kyrgios when it comes to doping in the sport, and their stances could see them clash at next month's Australian Open, while Kyrgios recently labeled tennis cooked after women's world number 2 Iga Swiatek was handed a 1-month ban for doping. Dokic has a different view, given Kyrgios has also been very vocal about men's world number 1 Jannik Sinner escaping a ban in August, despite failing 2 anti-doping tests. It should make for an interesting conversation when the Aussies cross paths at Melbourne Park in January. Meanwhile, Dokic also stated her belief that anti-doping in tennis is going to be a massive conversation in the next couple of years. Those words stand in stark contrast to Kyrgios' fury over the ban that was recently slapped on women's world number 2 Iga Swiatek after she tested positive for the performance-enhancing. He then doubled down with a second post attacking the sport's anti-doping rules. It also comes after Caribbean raised Kyrgios said in August that it was ridiculous. Australian Open winner Jannik Sinner escaped a ban for failing 2 anti-doping test. All right, that's in the world of tennis there. Let's see if we can have Ikenna Okonkwo join us via Zoom. He is the Secretary General of SWAN to just give us a quick update as regards the meeting between the Nigerian Football Federation and the NFF. Hello, Ikenna, are you there? All right, my producer says we cannot have Ikenna join us on Talk Sport, so that's how we're going to call it a wrap on today's edition of the program Talk Sport. Hopefully tomorrow Ikenna will be joining us live in the studios to give us update as regards the plan by the Nigerian Football Federation and the Sports Writers Association of Nigeria as a way to ensure that football gets the very best of what it can for the country Nigeria. My name is Anthony Momodu saying thank you for joining me on today's edition of the program Talk Sports.